back to It's a Wonderful Life. You can't just buy people, Mr. Potter. Well, you know what you are? You're a little bitch. That's right, you're a bitch, and I bet you'd like to suck it, wouldn't you?
Christmas is almost here, which means it's time to gather the family, turn on the TV, and watch It's a Wonderful Life. Ah, It's a Wonderful Life. The Christmas movie about a man who suffers abuse during his time as a child laborer, destroys property, and contemplates suicide on the holiest night of the year, only deciding not to kill himself after realizing that his only purpose in life is to give others happiness at the expense of his own. Wait, what? Yeah, that's right. That Christmas movie you know and love, or for some of you, the one you've been told to know and love, isn't as perfect as it seems. In fact, it's not only imperfect, it's contradictory. It's misleading. It's false. And it assumes the viewers will get teary-eyed when told to know their place and never strive for a better life for themselves or their families. Ho ho ho, am I right? Now, I'm sure you're probably either sneering in disagreement or you're about to stop watching, or you've already stopped watching. But if you'll humor me, I'd like to walk you through the reasons why It's a Wonderful Life is not on my annual December watch list. So, I ask you, in the spirit of the holidays, to keep watching. It's a Wonderful Life tells the life-affirming story of George Bailey, a man who constantly makes choices that cause him to be persistently unhappy. Eventually, the choices he makes, largely taking a job he does not want,
I couldn't face being cooped up for the rest of my life in a shabby little office.
And staying in a town he does not want to be in,
Why do we have to live here in the first place and stay around this measly, crummy old town?
result in an explosion of emotion one fateful Christmas Eve, where in the course of a few minutes he discourages his daughter from pursuing her emerging artistic talent,
Must she keep playing that?
refuses to help his son with his homework,
Dad, how do you spell frankincense?
I don't know. Why, ask your mother.
yells at his wife,
Will you get out and let me handle this?
yells at his kids,
How should I know? What do you think I am, a dictionary? Tommy, stop that, stop it. Janie, haven't you learned that silly tune yet? You play it over and over again. Now stop it, stop it.
makes his daughter cry,
Oh, Daddy.
yells at his daughter's teacher,
Teachers like you, stupid, silly, careless people that send our kids home without any clothes on.
gets into a bar fight, drives drunk, and damages a piece of property that's been in a man's family for generations.
Now look what you did. My great-grandfather planted this tree.
George meets an angel who shows him what the world would be like without the people of Bedford Falls exploiting him.
It's all right, Tom. How much do you need?
$242.
No, Tom, just enough to tide you over until the bank.
I'll take $242.
When he realizes he'll never get laid again, he punches a public servant and asks to be brought back to the real world. So here's my gripe with this not-so-wonderful movie. Through modern eyes, It's a Wonderful Life comes off as an agent to rob viewers of their free will and their ability to make choices in their own self-interest. It's a movie for the generation raised by the principle that you get what you get and you don't get upset. And I don't know about you, but I refuse to live that way, even if It's a Wonderful Life would try to tell me otherwise. Now let me be clear about something. George Bailey's decisions create good for people, and he should be commended for his care for others. But as the saying goes, you can't pour eggnog from an empty carton. And Bailey's lack of self-care is what leads him into this state of self-destruction. Potter, despite all of his malice, notices this quite clearly and accurately.
Now, if this young man at 28 was a common, ordinary yokel, I say he was doing fine. But George Bailey is not the common, ordinary yokel. He is an intelligent, smart, ambitious young man who hates his job, who hates the building and loan almost as much as I do. A young man who's been dying to get out on his own ever since he was born. A young man, the smartest one in the crowd, mind you. A young man who has to sit by and watch his friends go places because he's trapped.
Even the angels hear this from people who know George best when they hear it right at the start of the movie.
He never thinks about himself, God. That's why he's in trouble.
Undoubtedly, George Bailey has gotten himself into his own mess by not allowing himself to be happy. Because of this, the movie leaves viewers with the notion that their wants do not matter. Now, of course, I'm not saying when your dad dies of a stroke you should hop on the next boat to Europe for a vacation. That's a given. But soon after this tragedy, he's faced with the decision to go to college and become his own man, or do a job he knows he'll hate And the movie tries to strong-arm viewers and Bailey into the conclusion that if he single-handedly does not do this, then he alone will be responsible for the entire town of Bedford Falls, turning into the upstate New York version of Sin City. This movie is missing gradation. It's almost saying the only way you can make others happy is if you make yourself sad, as if there's a finite version of happiness at any given time. And while it's nice to watch a man discover the will to live when so many in our world don't have that, it's sad that it comes at the resignation to the fact that the happiness of others comes at the sadness of himself. Let's put aside the happy ending for a moment, and remember some of the problems George Bailey is facing after the credits roll and he goes back to work on December 26th. He's still struggling financially, unable to even fix his landing or fully provide for his family.
You know, maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids, and maybe they don't have any decent clothes.
But as the film suggests, money isn't everything. Bailey is still stuck doing a job he despises, in a town he doesn't want to be in, giving up his potential to pursue happiness and prosperity for himself and his family. The movie presents his decision to do such a thing as selfish, when in actuality, it's simply in his family's self-interest. And these two terms, selfishness and self-interest, are not one and the same, despite what It's a Wonderful Life would want you to think. The movie is quick to simplify wealth and evil as being one and the same, but things are so rarely this black and white.
Mr. Potter!
Who's that? A king?
That's Henry F. Potter, the richest and meanest man in the county.
All of that said, I understand why people like It's a Wonderful Life. In theory, the story of a man putting others first, displaying pure selflessness, and giving back to his community are appropriate messages for the holiday season. But in execution, we get a movie that's often ugly and joyless. Whether we're watching a boy beg not to be beaten in his permanently disabled ear,
Don't do my story again! Don't do my story again!
or display a lack of chivalry.
Help me down? Help you down?
Watching him emote pure sadness when he's compelled to throw away everything he's worked for. Or smile away, completely oblivious to the fact that despite a sizable one-time payout, many of his problems will remain. Because, again, his problems that have resulted from decades of his own decisions will be waiting for him in the new year. And as we see throughout the movie, these decisions have made his life anything but wonderful. So this holiday season, if you're looking for a viewing experience that's better equipped to put you in the Christmas spirit, might I suggest Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Elf, A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, Christmas with the Cranks, The Santa Claus 2. Yeah, that's right, I skipped right over the Santa Claus. The Jingle Bell Rock scene from Mean Girls, Miracle on 34th Street, The Grinch. Okay, maybe not the Jim Carrey one. Charlie Brown, Frosty, Unaccompanied Minors, The Little Drummer Boy, and my personal favorite, the Santa Experience episode of Rugrats. Thanks for watching, guys. No matter what time of year you're watching this, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know what you think of this video. That said, if you're prepared to trash it and me in the comments, all I have to say to you is...
Oh, why don't you stop annoying people?